Welcome to One-on-One. I'm Rick Kaplan. Today's guest is Greg Stewart. He's a Senior Vice President at Jewett Construction. And we have Dan Ray. He is the Vice President of Preconstruction and Design at Jewett Construction. Good afternoon, or good morning. How are you today?
Good morning.
So we're going to talk a little bit about what Jewett is all about and how are they coping with a lot of this. First of all, you're doing a lot of construction in the New Hampshire area, correct?
Yep, we're based in Raymond, New Hampshire. We also have an office in Scarborough, Maine, but we work in all New England states currently. We do not have projects in Connecticut and Rhode Island currently, but we do travel anywhere throughout New England, also out into New York, upstate New York.
So tell me a little bit about what type of construction Jewett does handle.
Yep, so we're very niche-y. So we're a commercial construction manager. We've been in business since 1972, second generation family owned, specializing in automotive, warehousing, distribution, advanced manufacturing, and life sciences. Those are really our target opportunity areas, and we target the challenging jobs, the jobs that really need that pre-construction design assist, which Dan's team handles incredibly well. Really not your cookie cutter job. So the more challenging and more difficult, intricate, that's really right up our alley.
So do you do a lot of on-site construction, or do you do any kind of modular type?
We do on-site construction. We also do pre-engineered metal buildings, which I let Dan kind of speak to that. It's a little bit more modular. But yeah, everything from pre-engineered metal buildings, ground up, construction of testing laboratories. We're doing a lot of clean rooms currently. We have a couple opportunities in Londonderry coming up for some clean room work. So really the whole run the mill for construction.
You know, we see Dan is itching to say something about this. Let's hear your 2 cents on that, Dan.
Yeah, the pre-engineered piece in particular, I'm pretty passionate about, and I think the whole company is very passionate about. We've been a partner with Butler Manufacturing for many years, and we provide their product to the marketplace for pre-engineered structures. So they lend themselves very well to manufacturing environments, warehousing environments, distribution. Back ends of automotive dealerships that need wide clear spans, open spaces, and they're a great way of economizing those type of applications, keeping costs down, speeding things up to market, and it's a fun product and process to work through, and yeah, that's probably why you saw me itching to talk about it.
You're excited about what you do.
I am.
That's the way it should be. So right now, you know, with everything that's going on, is it a good time to be starting up some good construction projects?
Yeah, certainly. Obviously, the availability of manpower is readily available, as well as, the permitting and approvals process and how that's transitioned from more in-person meetings to a bit more efficient. Dan and his team handle all the permitting and approvals. What are you seeing, Dan, as far as the swiftness of that process?
Yeah, I think it's creating a lot of opportunities right now. The environment that we're in, we're seeing a lot of projects either push back or pull forward to take advantage of the opportunity, and it's creating some unique situations with subcontractors and vendors where we're finding some pockets that actually have really strong availability with manpower. Everybody 2-3 months ago was absolutely loaded to the brim, and people are still very busy, but with schedules floating and pushing and some things just sliding around a lot, it's opened up some opportunities for quick reactions and quick responses to owners and developers who are looking to take advantage of the situation. So if you're in the market and looking to build, I think that it's a uniquely good time right now.
It's funny you both have said you get a great opportunity to get workers, which is what people have been struggling, especially in the construction industry, been struggling for the past few years to try to get workers. So you're saying now there's a time, there's a lot of them available.
Yes, yes, very much so. That's really been one of our, as an industry collectively, getting available manpower, skilled manpower. Obviously, there are pockets of the states in New England and throughout that are experience a little bit of a shutdown and a lag, and those areas where we're working in that are not affected are reaping the benefits of that manpower uptick.
Yeah, because I mean, one of the things that I've been hearing from a few people that I've been interviewing is that, especially architects and engineers, that this is a great time for them to start advertising, to look to hire. Because of that, people have been laid off, jobs have been slowing down for them. But there are, from what I'm hearing, there are a lot of jobs in the pipeline that are going to be coming through in the next year or so. So this is a good opportunity. Are you in that same position?
Yes, very much so. Our pre-construction team, our whole team, quite frankly, has worked very hard to have that backlog and have the projects on queue, ready to start. We're also seeing some growth in some industries that we also target. I didn't mention that we are working in the cannabis industry in Massachusetts, and we're seeing the players in that space really push forward and take advantage of these times right now. So, some industries are more affected than others, and that the cannabis is definitely really ticking up at the moment.
Yeah, well, that's one of the topics that we talk about quite frequently is the cannabis industry, because people don't realize that there's so many parts of that industry that are connected to our industry, the commercial space, the build outs, things of that nature. And the build outs aren't just that normal build out because of how they have to operate. So it's a specialty type of operation, and it's a specialty type of construction that you're going to have to find the right company to do that work.
Right.
And it could be the right people.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of it, and we've targeted that market as it's a brand spanking new market to everybody, and it is complex. Anytime you're doing cultivation indoors with humidity control, and you're dealing with crops and large amounts of crops, and where the owner's success is, that harvest happening. It's a lot of work and a lot of detail and a lot of know-how. They're very intricate spaces.
Well, working in the life science projects, it probably gives you a little bit of an edge too to get into that, I would think. So, I know a lot of cities and towns have been closed down, so permitting had to have been an issue. I don't know if it's opening up a little bit now, where you can start getting permitting and inspections and things like that. Has that been an issue?
It's created some pros and cons, kind of with like the rest of these, what we're seeing with the other topics and aspects of the construction industry right now. We're seeing some efficiencies created and some inefficiencies created. Some of the more basic building permits that need to be typically hand delivered or delivered to department for signatures and sign off. Some of that stuff's very up in the air, and it's difficult to understand what the landscape is from town to town because it's all handled differently on a regular basis, and it's certainly being handled differently now. The site plan approvals, ZBA hearings, Concom hearings, things like that are typically a more formal hearing and application process are, in our eyes, somewhat streamlined recently. Everything's been held. For the most part, it seems like it's like 90% of the municipalities have adopted Zoom technology like this, or GoToMeeting, or some other avenue to keep the ball rolling and keep development happening. So it was a little clunky at first, but the more and more participation I've had in these hearings, the more and more I'm realizing it's really made the process less frivolous, more efficient. You got right to the chase, roll right through the discussion. There's not a whole lot of travel involved. And people seem to be getting a handle on the technology to the point where it's not really missing a beat. So it's been good for us. That was one of our concerns initially, and it's really not a concern anymore.
So they're starting to get into the 21st century. Is what you're saying.
It's kind of becoming a little bit more collaborative, if you will. You know, we're all new to the Zoom or the go-to meetings and the Teams, and at least I am. And you know, it's kind of becoming a collaborative exercise to say, how are we going to get all these people and all these different entities that don't typically work together every day onto a call where you can see their face. So in some sense, it's kind of become a you know, a team effort, a little bit more collaboration.
Well, I mean, that's fantastic. So it sounds like things are getting a little more streamlined, which could make the process a little better for at least, you know, in construction. I don't know about other parts of the industry, but with the construction part, you know, that years ago, I remember it being a real issue, trying to get permitting and, you know, get inspectors to come out and delaying work. So this could be a great thing, you know, maybe something positive is coming out of it. So.
Yeah, I think there's some positives to come out of it. It's tough to replace the touch and the feel and the ability to read a room that you get when you're at a hearing in person. And I think that's something that is lost with the remote hearings, but you know, it introduces some pros at the same time.
Well, sometimes we can do without it too. You know, yeah. You know, sometimes it's better. Things behind closed doors or work out faster and quicker. You know,
absolutely. Yeah.
At those town meetings. So, what industries are you thinking are going to benefit to go forward right now with their construction projects? Are there any besides the cannabis? We know cannabis is explosive, and will be all throughout the country.
I think really as a society and, you know, as e-commerce continues to change, I don't think COVID-19 is necessarily going to be the driving force of the change. I think the change was already happening, and, you know, how we shop for groceries, how we procure clothes and our daily items, that was kind of already in motion. And I think the warehousing, the distribution facilities, we're seeing that. And I think the, you know, scenario that we're in, the pandemic, is only going to expedite that quite a bit. So I think the shipping, warehousing, distribution, advanced manufacturing, automation of those facilities, that's really going to, you know, to say benefit or be in higher demand.
Yeah. Were you going to say something, Dan?
Yeah, I think there's some temporary vacancy in some of these typically very busy operations as well. So whether you're talking about you know, the front of house showrooms at auto dealerships, or you're talking about private schools, public schools, institutions, there's, you know, if you're set up financially to take on the construction project at this time, the active renovations and the phased renovations and the logistical challenges that we are faced on a routine basis, a lot of those are relieved right now, which speeds up construction, saves on construction costs, and offers a lot of pros. So, I mean, if there's any time, it's great to roll into a complex active renovation. While you may have some staff that's at a reduced capacity for the next couple weeks, couple months, whatever it ends up being. It's a great time to jump into some of that.
Yeah, no, I think that, you know, with the way things are going, and this is not something that's going to end in another 2 months. This is going to be a way of life for us for another maybe 2 years. You know, by the time they have a vaccine and whatever has to happen for us to get back to normal. Mm-hmm. But even when we get back to normal, it might not be what we considered normal before. So I think what's going to have to happen is reconfigurations of restaurants, bars, office buildings, schools. So that involves a lot of new construction, I would think. And I see that coming down the pipeline.
Absolutely, it's a good point. You know, we want to get back to our daily lives, but, you know, let's be, you know, fact of the matter is it might not be how we operated previously. And I think keeping an eye towards the future and an eye towards, the distance and keeping everybody in this country healthy and safe. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of retrofits, renovations, some small, some significant. I think it's a good point.
Well, I appreciate you doing the interview today. A lot of good information. I'm glad you guys are keeping busy and staying safe. And I hope your crews are staying safe as well.
Yes.
That we're speaking with Greg Stewart. He's a Senior Vice President at Jewett Construction. And Dan Ray, he's the Vice President of Preconstruction and Design. Thank you. Have a pleasant afternoon.
Thanks, Rick.
Rick.
Thank you for watching today's interview. If you'd like to be a guest, a sponsor, or even advertise in the New England Real Estate Journal, you'll find our contact information in the description box below. You can also find all our social media platforms so you can follow us, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel.